Ask them to go in there with all they've got. Win just one for the Kipper.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Oh my goodness! What the hell's going on out here?
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology.
Holy cow!
Run, Forrest, run!
Hallelujah! Where's the Tylenol?
Can we keep the train rolling to a perfect 19-0 against the Vikings this week? We'll find out next on your Packers Fan Podcast.
Hey, Packers fans, this is your unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, and these are the podcasters you're looking for. One of these guys was once a club DJ in a country saloon, and the other guy gave up his seats on the 20-yard line so 12,000 more fans could enjoy the game live. And now it's time to Go Pack Go with your hosts, Wayne Henderson and Troy Heinritz.
This is your Packers Fan Podcast, the show by and for fans of your 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers. And I'm Wayne Henderson, and this is the 160th edition, recorded September 11th, 2018.
And I'm Troy Heinritz, who went from kicked out of the bar shamefully to waking up my entire house all in 1 hour's time. Man, what a great game that was.
Now, wait a minute. We got to find out, what's this kicked out of a bar shamefully?
I literally was in a bar, and I was the only person in this bar that was wearing any sort of color green. And I suffered through that experience the entire time of that first half, just getting ridiculed again and again and again. So when Khalil Mack finally stripped the ball literally right out of Kaiser's hands, I was like, I'm done. I'm going home. And they were all like, yeah, suck it, Packer fan. Yeah, the Bears are going to kick your butt this year. Blah, blah. See ya. Bye. And then an hour later, I was like, run, get that piano off your back. I'm like, oh my God, he's got Randall Cobb. It's like 13 all over again.
And you hopped right in your car, zipped on over there to see if the folks were still around?
Heck no. I'll just let them sit there and wallow in their beverages.
They were probably talking about you like, man, we were awfully hard on that Troy guy. Wow, well, I'm glad you made it through alive.
I did, and if the opening of the podcast this week was any indication, that's exactly how the game went.
Chaos. Wow, there's so much to cover this week.
Oh my gosh, week 1 is in the books, and we'll go over what we liked and what we didn't from our victory over the Bears, who still, and we'll have our news and injury updates, which is actually looking pretty good for week 1, plus your NFC North roundup as well. Oh my gosh, Detroit is imploding.
That's too bad. We're also going to cover what we expect from this week's Vikings at Packers game that I hear Troy is going to be at.
Really? I didn't know that.
Well, surprise. Also, Aaron Rodgers and a Bart Starr connection. And as always, your great feedback coming in from 920-3PACK-GO and from email.
Any links or articles we reference in this episode can be found on our site at packersfanpodcast.com/160.
So, Troy, what can we say about this game against the Bears that put us in first place in the NFC North?
Oh, man, the best thing we can say is Aaron Rodgers' press conference after the game, I thought was probably one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. I mean, first and foremost, he gives kudos to Brett Favre, which for Aaron, and knowing the whole history behind Aaron and Brett and all this other stuff between whichever's books or memoirs you read over the course of the years, for him to come back and say, the one thing I did learn from Brett, it's like, if you can play, you get out there and play. And then someone had asked him the question around, what were you thinking when you came out and you saw 20-0 up on the board? What was the first thing that went through your head? And he said, 7 times 3.
Not 3 times 7?
I'm like, 7 times 3. And I'm like, I got to get that on a shirt.
That's a lot of field goals, but whatever it takes to win.
Whatever it takes to win. I mean, you got to give it up for him. I mean, when he went down and rode off on that cart, I can only imagine what was going through his head after the collarbone break last season, and then to go out Bears night at home, first game of the season. I mean, he's like, well, I still got $80 million coming before next May, so I guess it doesn't really matter. but he's a competitor, and he clearly showed he was a competitor through the course of this game. So kudos to AR-12, captain of the ship. I mean, the no huddle offense in the second half was, oh my goodness. Can we do that like all the time? Because that was fabulous.
That was fabulous. I mean, all of the wide receivers that we saw were doing great things, especially in the second half, or mostly in the second half. Devontae Adams, Randall Cobb, and Geronimo.
Okay, now remember, we talked about the best thing come out of training camp. We talked about that play that they all saw. Aaron Rodgers was kind of rolling to his left, and he kind of looked off the receiver and then kind of no-look passed it to Geronimo. Mm-hmm. And then Mike McCarthy was like, yeah, we have the training camp film, and then we got like the special Aaron Rodgers room, and he's like, that play is going to have its own category. I think that was the play on the Geronimo Allison pass, because if you look, he started to move to his left, he drew the receiver off with his eyes, and then he turns around and just throws it and heaves it up there. And like, Geronimo, I hope you're running as fast as you can today, because that ball's going to be on the back corner. And sure enough, there it was, and he got it. So I think that was he didn't look it, because clearly he looked in Geronimo's direction, but it was still, I think, the very same play that they ran during the training camp practice.
And it truly was a thing of beauty, because when they first showed it, live before the 20 or 30 replays of it, showing it live, I thought that ball is sailing way out of the end zone. There's no way anybody's going to get it. And then it plops down just inside that back corner of the end zone into Geronimo's hands. Touchdown, excitement. Lambeau Field exploded with joy. I exploded with joy. My voice was instantly shot. And that was just the first of a few touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, the extra effort on Devontae Adams' part. I mean, granted, that was poor play on the cornerback side of it, because he left way too much of the sideline open. He's got to shield that off, and he's got other people in the middle of the field that can help him come over and clog up the middle of the field so they won't get to the end zone. So little juke move, gets to the pylon, real good second effort there. And then Randall Cobb, to be able to just snag that sucker and break it free, that is probably the coolest play I saw since the one that took us over Chicago. I mean, holy cow, that was amazing. Just open green field. And then kudos to Ty Montgomery for hustling his butt down there and getting that one last block, so that way he was able to make it all the way into the end zone for 7 and waking up my entire household.
Yes, my dog Diego was kind of stunned as well. Also, kudos to Khalil Mack for wearing out and at the end of the game just not being able to get Cobb and falling down instead.
He still got down there pretty darn. I mean, you almost caught him. That guy was hustling. That guy is fast.
Almost. The Cardinals almost beat the Steelers in the Super Bowl, too.
The Buffalo Bills almost showed up this week.
The Buffalo Bills almost won 4 Super Bowls.
That's too soon, especially after this week. That just hurts. Oh, my goodness.
Well, almost doesn't matter. Scoreboard matters. First place in the NFC North matters.
You know where almost does matter? When you have a defensive person almost getting through on the blitz, but then getting stopped by Jamal Williams, because, man, did he have an excellent job being back there, giving Rodgers the extra time he needed in the pocket. I mean, that one throw to Cobb alone, 4.3 seconds in the pocket before he let it go, considering what we saw in the first half, that's freaking amazing.
Thing of beauty, Troy, thing of beauty. Now, I do have to ask you, after halftime, when Aaron Rodgers came out and was actually going to take the field after that knee tweak injury in the first half and the pretty poor offensive line play that was just letting everybody through, were you extra nervous for Aaron Rodgers' safety?
Oh, every time he stepped back, I was super nervous for his safety. I did not want him to go down, get popped in that knee, and then all of a sudden we have a whole knee surgery thing going on during the course of the season. I'm like, get him off the field. What are you doing, Aaron? Oh, my goodness. True story, though. I talked to my wife as I was coming back from the bar after being shamed out of there. I said, look, the weird thing that we have to deal with now is that this is one of those moments. This is like the Mikowski moment when Brett Favre comes in. I could go to bed and miss something absolutely spectacular happening, whether it was with Kaiser or if Aaron Rodgers came back into the game. Or I could watch it And yeah, I might be super pissed off at the end of 10:30 because I stayed up and watched a complete disaster because that's where it was already at and nothing magic actually happened. But if you miss the magic, you're going to be really frustrated with yourself. So I came up to my office, I sat down, I started just kind of tinkering around with things, waiting for halftime to get over. And then sure enough, I saw Rodgers come out of the tunnel and I'm like, oh baby, strap in. This is going to be interesting.
Interesting's the understatement. I still can hardly believe it happened. It could not be scripted any better.
Especially on a Bears week. I mean, come on.
And especially, I mean, a lot of people use the term a tale of two halves. And I can't think of any Packers game I've ever watched where that is the truest statement.
Well, it's what was it? It was the largest fourth quarter comeback in 100 years of Packers history, is what I think I heard on the broadcast.
I heard somebody say it was tied for the largest, but either way, because they were referencing the fourth quarter come from behind victory against the Lions. Boy, do we love to do it to the division rivals.
That's the best kind to do.
Yes. Down about 20 points and no worries.
Just wait for our score predictions later in this podcast.
Uh-oh. Spoilers.
Kenny Clark, he was the only one that was pressuring anybody in this game on the defensive side of the ball. That's, again, still the one thing that I would say was my knock for this game was I didn't see a lot of quarterback pressure until Nick Perry showed up.
True, but thankful that Kenny Clark was on point.
And thankful that Nick Perry showed up because he finally got through and got the one sack and fumble we needed. Because, man, when you thought that he's going to be hurt forever, this time he brought the hurt.
Ooh, well said.
Yeah, the offensive line in the second half was amazing. The Lambeau crowd, I mean, talk about a fickle group.
Yeah, and we're not known for being that fickle like a lot of other fans around the NFL.
I mean, I've been at games where we haven't been playing super awesome, and the stadium's just quiet. But then, man, it get just booed like that. Holy cow. And then to be like, and then Aaron just comes out and he's like, got this, guys. It's all good. I forgive you. Maybe next time you have some faith.
Yeah, I think the hardest part for the crowd was the fact of how last year went. You know, and they just couldn't take the thought this early in the first game of the first season of possibly going through that again.
Well, we immediately like when he got that ball stripped out of his hands and then he threw the pick six to Mac, were you like, oh my gosh, Taysom Hill, put him in? Or were you like, please bring Brett Hundley back? Who's this Kaiser guy?
But at the same time, I don't think that anybody else was suited up. They were talking at the beginning of the game that if something were to go awry, that Randall Cobb was the third quarterback for the night. So
might have been better. I don't know.
I don't know. We needed him for that touchdown near the end.
I mean, Kaiser, I mean, I don't know if that's just the worst circumstance you can come into. So I don't know if you can hold it against them. I mean, they're all professionals. They should be able to handle it. But, man, he just looked like he had no idea where he was playing.
Well, the offensive line was not doing him or Aaron any favors in the first half. True. If he would have been in there in the second half, with the offensive line doing so much better, I think it would have been a different result. So, you know, I can't hold it all against him because everybody was just coming through. What are you going to do if you're throwing the ball and there's Khalil Mack 3 inches from your face in just 2 seconds?
Every single time.
I don't know what was behind it, but I think it might have something to do with hardly any starters playing hardly at all during the preseason.
That's exactly what it sounded like from Mr. Balaga himself, that he just needed time for them to get back together and gelling together again, and it took him a half to get going.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was a half of a real game, but there were lowlights, and we've alluded to them. But for me,
my gosh, I've never wanted to punch my TV so hard in my life.
I have a feeling it must have something to do with that boneheaded play in the fourth quarter by Clay Matthews.
I mean, I watched it back on the replay. I watched it back on the coach's cam from my NFL Game Pass, which is awesome. I'm like, okay, I can, maybe he's pump faking it and that's why he didn't let up, but I'm like, come on. It's like, just step a little to the side. Maybe you hit him with an arm bar on the way by, but don't knock him down. Come on.
Not
play.
with the game on the line. if it was 1994, it wouldn't have been a problem at all. But
No.
This is 2018, many rule changes since then. And yeah, if that would have cost us the game, I don't even know what we would be talking about right now. But
We'd be talking about trade is what we'd be talking about. Clear up that salary cap.
My goodness.
Do another Pitch Perfect movie.
And this isn't directed towards the players themselves, but I'm just wondering where Jimmy Graham and Mercedes Lewis were in the game plan.
I think they were in the
Sunday
game
night.
plan in the first half, and then they had to adjust to the hurry-up offense. So when you have the hurry-up offense, you can't go to two guys that haven't been part of that hurry-up offense for the last 4 years. You know, Devontae and Cobb and Pseudo Geronimo have been running that offense in the hurry-up for a long, long time. So literally at that point, you're saying, Mercedes Lewis, Mr. Williams, you guys are blockers now. That's all you're going to do. We're going to 3 wide out, and you guys are going to block extra people to protect Aaron. And it worked, and that's exactly what happened.
Okay, because I was counting on seeing some of those great TDs to Jimmy Graham, but you're right. Hurry-up offense doesn't leave much room for that, but maybe this week.
I think you'll see a different game plan with Minnesota depending on how they show up. Because, man, their defense looked really good. Really good.
Yeah, but they beat the Niners. Big whoop. I know. Yeah. I know their defense is good.
Don't steal the thunder. I'll let you do the Minnesota piece if you want to do the Minnesota piece last this time around.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, what a wacky opening weekend. I mean, the Browns tie.
The Browns are undefeated in 29.
Maybe they'll go for 16 in a row ties, but
they'd be undefeated.
That would be amazing. And the Jets just,
man.
Wow. I mean, and the Rams demolishing the Raiders, just crazy stuff happening everywhere.
Ryan Fitzpatrick is a god. What?
I was not expecting Tampa Bay to do what they did against the Saints because so many pundits raving about the Saints are the best team in the NFC going to the Super Bowl, and I don't think so.
No, their defense has a lot to be desired.
And with that, let's get back to the Packers. Where's the linebackers?
Yeah, did you notice how many defensive backs were out there? 6, 7. I think there was 8 defensive backs out there at one time. Like where is the linebackers? I mean, granted, 3 of them are hurt, so thank God Reggie Gilbert was still out there, and Nick Perry and Clay traded off.
So we had that, and then
which means where's the pass rush? Once again, no pass rush. You put extra pressure on those cornerbacks, and they're still young and up and coming, and that's why I think that Trubisky was able to have his way with us in that first half.
And if we play any team this season and we do have an effective pass rush, the team is not going to know what hit them because they're like,
right,
the Packers with a pass rush? What?
Oh my gosh, amazing stuff. What a great game. That's going to be one for the record books. That's like Dallas last year before Aaron went down in the next game when we came back from behind to go 4-1, or Dallas with the Jared Cook sideline tiptoe catch.
He went to Jared.
All the 2 Hail Marys. I think this tops all of that.
Just incredible stuff. But injuries, I'm a little nervous about Aaron Rodgers' knee.
I'm not. I think when Mike McCarthy came in to do the presser on Monday morning, he said, yeah, Aaron's walking around here in socks and shorts and shoes and no brace on the knee. And so they'll get some things on it and get some scans. And by the time you're listening to this podcast, hopefully we'll have a good idea of what the knee looks like. And I'm sure it's probably sore and tight and just got to wrap it and maybe splint it or something just to keep it healthy for the rest of the season. And then you might have to scope it and do some repair on it because it was his surgically repaired knee already. So he's already had work done on that particular knee. So we'll just have to see what it looks like. But if he's able to finish the game, I'm assuming it'll be fine. He just has to take it easy and loosen it up.
Okay, I'm staying tuned. Do we have anybody else banged up that we should know about?
No, I mean, coming out of the game, that was it. I mean, everybody else is the standard injury reserve list. So, Davis, Jones, Kumaro, Grollins, Murphy, Ryan, Madison, Aaron Jones will be out this week again with the suspension, but he'll be back for week 3. So, so coming out of the game to only have Aaron Rodgers be the one on the injury report, not too shabby.
Though I do kind of wish that Aaron Jones was coming back this week.
I know. Well, this is the interesting thing. So imagine when Aaron Jones does come back, and now because we don't have a fullback position, Williams actually assumes kind of the fullback duties. Like, can you imagine Williams like lead blocking for Aaron Jones? And then like the looks you can get, right? Is Williams going to run this one, or is Aaron going to run this one? Is there going to be a lead blocker, or is he a blitz pickup and then Aaron comes out of the backfield and catches a short dump over the middle? I mean, there's so many different looks that could happen with those two in the backfield. I'm super excited. Kind of sucks for Ty Montgomery because you don't know how he fits into the scheme of things. But yeah, the two of them back there, I think you could do some really interesting stuff.
Bring back the Packers sweep.
The Packers sweep, yes. The power eye could be there. No more shotgun, no more pistol.
We'll have to wait and see. Well, let's dig in because we got quite a fair amount of listener feedback this week. So I want to thank you, G-Force. Your feedback's amazing yet again. Thanks for sharing it with us. And we want everybody to know that we want to hear you on the show as well. Give us a call right after the game next week while the thoughts are fresh in your mind and the excitement is in your heart. Call us at 920-3PACK-GO. Again, 920-3PACK-GO. Or go to PackersFanPodcast.com/feedback to find out the other methods. And let's fire it off with Andre in LA.
Hey guys, as always, go Pack Go. Woo, what a win, what a performance by the team, what a gutsy performance by Aaron Rodgers. I mean, normally I give the Packers defense a tough time, and they were pretty bad to start the game, but they really stepped up in the second half. Aaron Rodgers was phenomenal in the second half when he played. I mean, it took me forever to calm down after the game. My poor neighbors, so I just kept screaming. But the thing I took mostly away from the game was Khalil Mack for the Bears. Man, he looked frightening. And if that's an out-of-shape Khalil Mack, what do we have to look forward to the next few years? I really wish that we would have made whatever trade necessary to get him. It would have really improved our defense, as we saw yesterday he did with the Bears. But I'm really curious what your thoughts will be on Khalil Mack and what we have to look forward to in the future. I know everyone's going to be calling in about Aaron Rodgers and the receiving core. Great catch by Geronimo Allison. Great performance by Devontae Adams and Cobb. Heck of a play. Clutch as always. But I want to hear more about what do we do about Khalil Mack in the future. Green and Gold, Tom Dead and Cold. Love you guys' podcast.
Thanks, Andre. And then you know what I'm going to do about Khalil Mack? I'm going to run the other way. He literally ripped the ball out of Kaiser's hands. Like you just said, that's mine.
But I think Andre was not so much concerned with what you would do. I think he's talking about what should the Packers do about Khalil Mack.
Well, luckily we don't have to face them again until the end of the season. And I think by then we'll be all locked up and ready to go. So we can just sit on the bench with our home field advantage and we just won't have to worry about it.
And then Kaiser gets to play against him again.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness, Troy. Interesting strategy. Wow.
Unless at that point we're at the at the 14-0 mark, and then we have to keep going for the 19-0 season for our 100th season. Would that be amazing?
And maybe the Bears will be 0-14 and just decide to rest everybody so they don't get hurt needlessly.
That would be an interesting strategy as well.
Hey, I'm here to help. Andre, interesting point you mentioned about how it took so long to come down from the high of this game. I'm in the same boat with you, my friend. I was just watching replays and press conferences and replays and reliving it and still yelling and getting teared up and pumping my fist in the air for like an hour and a half after the game. And then all of a sudden, the next thing I know, I was like, did I fall asleep? Did I dream it? Oh, let's watch the replays one more time before going to bed.
Yeah, I think by the time, because we were central for that game,
at
least I was, I think it was 1 a.m. when I finally was able to lay down. I still don't think I fell asleep till 2, though.
Yeah, I know a lot of our friends in the UK, Ireland, and Europe and other places that really either stayed up all night and watched the game at like the crack of dawn or woke up extra early. I think they were able to skip a couple of cups of coffee due to all the excitement coming down from the game.
Well, that's because they were still at the pub drinking. They were like, shots for everybody. This is awesome. How do we get these guys to London?
That's a good question. That would be a fabulous trip. And now that I've got a passport, just need airfare. And then,
there's an answer actually coming up in a little later in the podcast about why the Packers aren't going to London.
Okay, we're staying tuned for that. Before we continue on with the listener feedback, Andre, are you going to the Packers at Rams game? We got to see you there somehow if you're able to make it out to that game.
Yes, definitely. It'd be fun to meet up with you, Andre, if you're out there.
And any of y'all that are going to go to Packers at Rams, because the Rams don't look too shabby either. This is going to be a heck of a game. But I guess one game at a time. So let's go ahead and check in again at 920-3-PACK-GO.
Well, I got to say, Packers played one hell of a game. I lost my voice yelling. I'm so proud of my Packers. From San Antonio, go Pack, go.
Paul, thank you so much. Checking in from San Antonio. And yeah, very proud of the Packers for not giving up, keeping the grit going, whatever it takes. You can't just go out there and give up. And I totally agree. And I so appreciate you giving us a call with your thoughts and motivation. What do you think, Troy?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This was a gut check for everybody. The O-line had a gut check. The receivers had a gut check because they weren't getting open at all. I was like flashes of 2017 all over again in that first half, even when Rodgers was on the field, because we weren't all that great in the first 4 games of the year, because we had those 2 overtime games. I'm like, what is going on with this team? So yeah, I was nervous. But worked it out in the end. So we'll see what shows up on Sunday.
Yes, hi. I am a really good Packers fan. I love my Packers. But my problem is with the offensive line. They have got to do better to protect Aaron. That's our quarterback. We need him. So I'm hoping that they can either make some changes, maybe add some people, but they got to protect him better because we need him this year. Thank you.
Now remember, though, caller from Madison, thank you so much for the call, that offensive line is the core 5. They are the strongest. They are probably one of the better offensive lines. I think, like Wayne said, the challenge is that they didn't play a lot in preseason together. And when you're playing as an offensive unit, it's a unit. It's not an individual game. So they need the time to gel together, get back into the swing of things, especially with Balaga's injury, and see where does Balaga need some help. Maybe where does Bakhtiari need a couple extra hands. And I think that's where we have to start looking at our 2 tight end packages or Williams with a tight end on being some of those extra blockers when you have someone like a Mac on the other side. So I think they will game plan accordingly for that, because Minnesota's got another really good defense, and we'll see if they can pick up some of those double teams and whatnot in order to make things happen.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, they do have to protect Aaron Rodgers, no matter what it takes. But you make a good point, and hopefully just working out the kinks in the first half of this game, things are going to be a lot smoother moving forward. Time will tell, but I would not be surprised if they're already making plans for next preseason that, we got to shake off the rust a bit sooner. But with that, let's check in with a different perspective.
Hey guys, Ty Nelson here. I'm actually not a Packer fan. I'm a Bear fan. I just had to call in after that game last night. All credit in the world to Aaron Rodgers. We all know he's one of the best ever. But, as a Bears fan, I was excited that we got a little taste of what hopefully Packer fans can expect to see from Khalil Mack in years. Hopefully when we play at Soldier Field, we won't go into a shell in the second half and not get quite as conservative as they did. But we got to remember that our coach is a rookie too, just like Trubisky. So congrats on the win, but man, we're getting there. We're going to be beating you guys soon, so enjoy this one while you can. Thanks, fellas. Have a good one.
Thank you so much, Ty. And we're going to be enjoying this one all the way to the Super Bowl, I'm hoping. But we really appreciate your call. It's so good to hear from even fans of the opposition, Troy.
Yeah, because every time that we actually see the Bears game, when you and I are together, the Bears fans end up still singing the song along with us. So, Ty, if you want to do a verse, it's the Bears still, and you fill in the blank, and you're good.
I don't think Ty is going to be singing that particular song. And yes, Khalil Mack does make the Bears a lot better.
A lot better.
That game was a lot more difficult than it should have been. But, after week 1, you just never know. I mean, some of these teams that start out strong may peter out. Some of them, the Bears, we'll have to see. We just have to wait and see what will happen. It's just interesting that our rematch is not going to be till way at the end of the season.
But he is right. I mean, Nagy is partly to blame for their loss as a rookie coach because he did get too conservative in that second half. And that's what literally killed the momentum. I think, and I think the big thing there to say that we won that game was because, as we said, contain Jordan Howard. Now we didn't have to contain Jordan Howard because for some reason Nagy felt like he needed to throw the ball more than actually give it to Howard. I think if they gave it to Howard more often, we would have been in a lot different situation in being able to come back because I think Howard was still chewing up some yards against us, which then goes back to where's the linebackers and the defensive line.
Amen to that.
All right, well, let's switch over to email, and here's Caleb and Laura LaPointe up there near Green Bay, Wisconsin. And Mary Herkman's checking in with them as well. Wanted to say that this is one of the great games. It started out slow, but at the end we kicked butt. I really couldn't believe how great Rodgers was playing after the leg injury. All we needed to do was RELAX. And we won a great game. But no matter what the score is, in the end, we will never stop rooting and loving our Packers. Go Pack Go, bleed green and gold till dead and cold. Caleb Fisher and company up there in Northeast Wisconsin.
And it makes you wonder if Aaron Rodgers is going to come up with another catchy hashtag this year to go along with the RELAX, run the table, and many others.
7 times 3.
Oh, that very well could be the one right there. And if we get 7 times 3 every single week in the second half, woo!
Yeah.
Good stuff.
That's 42 points if they got 7 times 3 in the first half, too.
Last number. And Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy number. And with that, checking in with the email from Stephen V. Hey, Wayne and Troy, a very angry Stephen checking in from Powell's Park, Illinois. I almost have nothing good to say about the Green Bay Packers in their game last night against the Chicago Bears. And I'd like to call up Wayne Campbell and Garth Algar to be the judges. But since I can't get them, I'm calling up Wayne Henderson and Troy Heinritz to take their places. I hope to hear from both of you if you have anything good to say about the Green Bay Packers in week 1. And Troy, party on.
Party on, Wayne.
Party on, Troy. What the heck? We waited 9 months to see the Green Bay Packers play in a real game again, and this is the effort we get from them? I didn't like that we gave the Chicago Bears the first chance to score and to get that 7-0 lead on us, and then even more chances to score after that. I had posted in the Facebook group that I would have given our defense a D-, but by the end of the second quarter, I changed it to an F. What? I saw a post in the Packers Fan Podcast community group that said RELAX for this game. I have to say that unless we get a lead that we could have been comfortable with, there was no way to RELAX. Hopefully, Aaron will be able to play, and I hope we can get revenge on the Minnesota Vikings for injuring Rodgers last year, which changed around both teams' destiny very quickly. Troy, I think you need to make one of your keys for a victory against the Vikings being that the Packers don't play like they did against the Chicago Bears. Stephen V.
Spoiler alert.
Well,
wow, Steven's got some words there. I mean, yeah, granted, the first half sucked. Yeah, I said it. It sucked. And it was horrible, and it was awful to watch. It was just all kinds of bad. But at the same time, the one thing that was different about this game than any game probably since the 2014 Seattle debacle is the fact that you had coaches that can make adjustments at halftime. And when they came out, and granted, a lot of that was adrenaline because Rodgers is coming out of the tunnel, and they're like, oh, Rodgers is coming. We all better up our game too. And there's this whole magic that just kind of clicks all of a sudden. But the coaches changed the scheme. You had Joe Philbin and Mike McCarthy said, we're going hurry up the entire time. You got Mike Patton, who's coming up with different schemes and blitzes so that he can shut down Trubisky. And you know what? It all worked. And I think that is the biggest takeaway from this game is that we actually have coaches that are willing to change the game plan at halftime in order to make the corrections that are needed in order to win. And I think that is going to be the thing to watch for as we go into the Vikings game to see what corrections do they make at halftime and does it go in our favor. And if it does, that's a trend. And I'm okay with that trend.
And it was really interesting because with those adjustments and changing the tide and all of the fortunes that turned around was near the end of the game when it became apparent that Aaron Rodgers could very well score again and take the lead. the looks on some of the Bears players and Bears fans in the audience, they were just like, something's falling apart. I don't know what's going on, and I can't stop it. It's just amazing to see. It really was two separate games. Thank goodness that the second half had just enough points to win.
Part of me doesn't want them to lose, but because they played so poorly in the first half, I was hoping that if they lost, that just would have been like extra fuel for the fire for the Vikings next week, and I would have gotten like the 72-point game and get to witness that in person because they were so pissed off for how bad they played against the Bears. But I think this is even better. You got a different kind of high coming off, and now you're like, hey, no one can beat us. We only can beat ourselves. So let's get out there and let's just win one for the Gipper, as we said at the Open.
And having the mindset of, we don't have to give up. It's only 7 times 3.
7 times 3.
This week's poll, we're back to Mondays, Troy. It's the regular season Monday Twitter and Packers Fan Podcast community Facebook group polls. And Troy, thanks for coming up with this one. Besides the GOAT, Aaron Rodgers, which person's play helped us achieve a victory over the Bears? And the choices were downfield blocking by Ty Montgomery, extra effort by Davante Adams, Reggie Gilbert covering a wide receiver in the end zone, and Brian Bulaga against Khalil Mack. Guess which one got the most votes?
I'm actually surprised by the results, to be quite honest.
So you don't have to guess because you know.
I do know, and I'm going to say it's Reggie Gilbert covering the wide receiver in the end zone. Oh my gosh, is there anything Reggie Gilbert can't do?
Well, that's why we had a listener in a couple episodes ago call him Reginald.
Ooh.
Because, it's a formality. And 40% of the voters picked Reggie Gilbert, followed closely by Brian Bulaga against Khalil Mack, getting 31% of the votes.
Nice. That's higher than I thought that would be.
There you go. And 19%, Stephen King number, extra effort by Davante Adams, and 10% going with downfield blocking by Ty Montgomery. But we also did get a write-in vote and much support for it as well from J. Lark D. How about the blocking of Jamal Williams? # unsung hero.
Yeah, I totally biffed on that one, but I think there's only 4 spots on Twitter that you can fill in.
Yes, correct.
So, we talked about Jamal, and I think that's exactly what it is. I think Jamal Williams is an excellent blocker, and he's going to be a decent fullback that could lead for Aaron Jones in the future. I think that's going to be some really exciting stuff to watch.
Also got a comment from Marty Dixon who said, we have to give credit to Bulaga and the entire O-line. BB.
Stephen, you hear that? You hear that, Stephen?
I'm sure he does, Troy. BB and the rest came out in that second half and played like they had a point to prove and afforded AR-12 the time and protection he needed to get plays from a clean pocket.
And that's something to make a very strong point on. He didn't scramble at all. At all.
He couldn't.
In that second half.
And he didn't have to. I know.
That is amazing.
A miracle is what that is.
4 seconds or more in the pocket.
Tick, 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 tick. Hey, touchdown. Bulaga could have crumbled after the first half Mac had, but he stepped up and shut him down. Can't praise our O-line enough.
Now, let's just hope they keep it going and nobody gets hurt, and we'll be good the rest of the season. Janelle Herron also came in and said the defense really did step it up in the second half, and we needed them to because without it, there would have been no comeback. Now, if they could just play that way the entire game, the Packers fans wouldn't have to worry about the heart attack pack. That would be nice.
Yeah, there was many different emotions going on through this game, and it all's well that ends well. Also in the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community group at PackersCommunity.com, Jackson wants to know, why did we not attack the Bears early on defense?
Because the offensive line hadn't worked in preseason. So that they were trying to, but when you have to do scramble drill every single play and you're running for your life from Khalil Mack, it makes it a little bit challenging to attack anything.
Even on defense, I mean, like you said, we need some sort of pass rush.
Oh, yeah, and then that's the other problem is that there is just no pass rush. I mean, if for some reason we cannot get through the gaps, and I don't know if it's because we're still running the 3-4. Maybe it would have been better to go to the 4-3 with Mike Pettin, but we're still running the 3-4, and it is what it is. So we have to figure it out. We got to get some. We got to clog up the box, 8-9 guys in there, and get some safety blitz happening.
Also, Dawn, a.k.a. Granny Cheese herself, says, I love the fact that they make us earn their fanship, keep us on the edge, break our hearts, and then bam, win it all and put us on cloud 9. You got to love them. How about them 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers?
See, this is the part I've never understood. You know, they're a community-owned team. We all own stock in the Packers. When you have a game like this, man, why isn't the stock sale like immediately like go online right now and buy your share of stock? Because they would make a crap ton of money.
That's for sure. We could build a whole another section of seats in the other end zone and just add more. Double the size of the stadium while we're at it, because I got my postcard with the spot where I'm at on the waiting list after 26 years. I'm almost going to break the 30,000 level.
30,000 to go.
Patiently waiting for my grandkids to be able to split the tickets up and each get to go to one game.
You are you got high hopes there. Maybe your great grandkids will get in.
Well, that's true. Haven't seen them appear yet because the grandkids are young enough. But
well, you're doing better than me. I'm 31,250. Oh, let's see. Peter Allison was checking in, said, with how angry I was at halftime, it's still confusing how we won that game. It's a real game of two halves. The first half had to be the worst half of football I have ever seen. Those are pretty big words. It was awful. It was like we didn't care. I'd love to know who you think was responsible for that epic turnaround, because for me, the first half was all Mike, and the second half was somebody else. It's like Mike has forgotten how to call a game. He gets me so angry because I know what he is capable of doing with this team, yet we get way too much inconsistency. If you ask me, that second half was all Rodgers. Mike said we didn't do anything different from the first half to the second, but play better. What it looked like to me was him letting do what Rodgers does best. Seriously, though, love this team and the workout involved in watching a game. Yeah. Didn't need to go to the gym that day.
Yeah, I wonder how many Apple Watches and fitness trackers went off during, like, near the end of the first half. Like, breathe. Stand up. Move around. Also heard from Colin Dolan. Has Mike McCarthy wasted the best years of Aaron Rodgers' career? Questions around number 52. Looks like he's lost a yard or two of pace, and we're not protecting AR-12 enough.
Well, yeah, definitely have to protect him more often. I don't think McCarthy's wasted Aaron Rodgers' career. I mean, come on, we were in the NFC Championship game in 14. Did we make it in 15? Or we were just one short of 15. And then we were back in 16. And then we had the epic meltdown last year because Aaron Rodgers' collarbone got broke. So no, I don't think we've wasted it. I think the problem we had was one, Dom Capers in the defense. And ever since 2012, our defense went in the toilet. And that's why we weren't getting back to the Super Bowl. But we had playoff contending teams every single year. So no, Mike McCarthy is not the issue. Mike McCarthy still can call a football game. Mike McCarthy is still a really good coach. And in order to inspire people like that, you have to have good coaching staff. And I think that the difference is that, again, they were able to actually have conversations at halftime to make the changes they needed to make, which probably hasn't happened in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and at the same time, some of it comes down to just bad misfortune of injuries piling up that kept it impossible to move on. And because, you know, we are spoiled as Packers fans, especially when we have Aaron Rodgers, one of the best to ever throw the ball. And you would think we'd have 4 or 5 Super Bowls in addition to the ones we already have. And it's just, I mean, you know, Dan Marino, look at that. But,
yeah.
But it's not over yet, Colin. Super Bowls could still be in our future. But yeah, number 52, Clay. He may be a little bit slower, but I think the bonehead mistakes are even worse.
I think that he should go back to the inside. I think that, I'm telling you, put him on the inside, and it's a completely different ball game. You got Gilbert and Perry on the outside, and then you put Clay on the inside with Martinez, and I'm telling you, it's a different unit, and it'll work. Trust me.
It's going to be so much fun to see what happens over the next few weeks leading up to the bye week. I know. Don't get ahead of yourself yet. Check out even more conversations happening in our Facebook group at PackersCommunity.com. More great discussions, including more keys to winning games, more NFC North tidbits, memories of 9/11. Never forget. Also, links to videos of recent press conferences by Mike McCarthy and much more, all at PackersCommunity.com.
Well, you know, good old number 24, Willie Wood, won all NFL honors 9 times. 9 times for all you Bueller fans out there in a 9-year stretch. That's MVP worthy, much like listener Bryant supporting the Packers Fan Podcast in our Patreon group at the Willie Wood $24 a month level. Your support is amazing, and just want to say a big thank you because that is amazing. You'll get a Packers Fan Podcast logo t-shirt, which should be on the way. And we still have to get your Go Pack Go recorded. Can't wait.
Absolutely. Another Go Pack Go we need to get recorded, and we're trying to coordinate that with Granny Cheese, one of the heads of the Texas-only Green Bay Packers Fanatics Facebook group, because AR-12 came back, and so do the Texas-only Green Bay Packers Fanatics, supporting the show at the $12 a month Aaron Rodgers level. You will hopefully hear their closing Go Pack Go in an upcoming episode as well.
Also, a big shout-out to Jeff and all those good people that love lifelong Packer backer Randy Westgame up there in Wausau for coming in at the Brett Favre $4 monthly level. It's the only person I didn't hear comments from after the game was Brett Favre. I wanted to see what he had to say about Aaron Rodgers playing through that knee injury.
He's probably suiting up just in case he's needed.
Probably.
Anything is possible. Also, the Curly Lambeau $1 a month monthly supporters, thank you so much for helping out the show. Velvet Eau Claire, Aaron Peterson from the Hollywood Outsider, and Hank Davis from the TPE network of podcasts.
You too can help us make the Packers Fan Podcast even better. Maybe get into some post-game call-in shows right after the game. But we got to get up to that $500 a month level. So we're currently at $40. We'd love to see that rise, of course, as the season continues. So you can help us out by going to PackersFanPodcast.com/support. Different levels out there, obviously beyond the Willie Wood $24 level, even a chance to go to a game in 2019. So take advantage of that. Go on over to PackersFanPodcast.com/support, because if you find value from this podcast, we hope that you find value in us by throwing us a couple bucks, because, man, those cheese curd brats are not going to be cheap next week.
We need to see you do some live Facebook videos from the stadium. And
well, the live will depend on, internet connection speed and all that other stuff, depending on what time we get there. Because the closer it gets to game time, the internet connection up there does slow down quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
So if I can't get them out live, I will definitely record them, and I will post them after the game on my 3-hour drive home back to Chicago.
Where people could see them at PackersCommunity.com?
Where I cross over the state line yelling, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0.
Oh, good stuff. So thanks again, Hank, Aaron, the Texas-only Green Bay Packers Fanatics, Bryant, Randy, Jeff, and Velvet for your amazing and humbling support of the Packers Fan Podcast via Patreon.
Now, going around the NFC North real quick, our new segment for this season. The Lions, oh my gosh, what a poop show it is. All kinds of bad if you are a Detroit fan right now. Players are upset with Matt Patricia. That's what I'm going to call him anyway. Over team rules, amount of work in training camp, and the coach even threatening to replace players that won't buy into the system. The Detroit Free Press is saying that the coach is in over his head, and Stafford looking like he isn't worth Trubisky's salary. Yikes.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Oh, and they have to face the incoming weeks. You have Garoppolo coming, then Brady, then Prescott, then Rodgers. Can anyone say 0-5? It smells like it to me.
That very well could happen, but Garoppolo is no longer the undefeated in his entire career Garoppolo. And Matt Patricia does know a little bit something about Tom Brady, and may have something special in store for the Patriots.
I'm going to tell you now that Garoppolo also had a couple of touchdowns dropped by his receivers in the end zone. So that's not all Garoppolo's fault, even though he did throw 3 interceptions. The Bears, Khalil Mack, straight up difference maker, and the Bears defense is for reals. We already talked about it. Coach Nagy just has to get out of his own way and not play so conservatively. I'd be more scared of the Bears at this point than Minnesota. Because in the Vikings land, it's no surprise that the Vikings defense is good, really good. And that's why the Patriots and Vikings are picked to go to the Super Bowl after week 1's action.
Oh, come on.
Because of those multiple touchdown drops by the receivers and the 3 INTs thrown, that'll make any defense look good, even the Bills. We'll see if the real Vikings step up on Sunday when they come to town at Lambeau Field.
Oh, I love the NFC North notes. The Packers are currently in first place, and if we win this week again against the Vikings, we're going to be all alone in first place.
Driver's seat the rest of the way. Just have to control your own destiny.
It's funny to talk about that at week 1, but hey, go Pack, go Troy.
You know who else was controlling their own destiny this offseason was one Peter King. Now, Peter used to write the Monday Morning Quarterback article over for Sports Illustrated, and he ended up stepping down from SI last, I think it was May, when he finally wrote his last article over there. And now he's over at NBC Sports, and he had a nice piece with Aaron Rodgers before the game on Sunday night. You can actually go over to read his article on basically, I think it's Football Monday in America, I think is the name of the article now. And he really was amazing just watching him walk the field with Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers talking about, this ring of honor that you just look up and you see this. But the thing that was really striking about it is that when you get into the article farther down, there's kind of a retrospective piece between how Rodgers and Bart Starr have this amazing relationship. And he went into the whole day that Peter and the staff spent with Bart Starr. And just reading that, I choked up at my desk. I mean, it breaks my heart to read just everything that he's going through with the aphasia, recovering from the stroke in 2014, but just to hear his words about how he respects Aaron Rodgers. And when he was finally able to actually get out the message that he wanted to record to send to Aaron, and being able to see that video in Peter's article, I mean, we as Packer fans are super blessed to have 3 of probably the greatest quarterbacks of all time play the game in Titletown. And, people, I think, hopefully 100 years from now, when they look back on this historic franchise with only 100,000 people supporting them up there in the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin, I just hope they realize what an amazing opportunity we've had for such a long time as part of this team.
Amen to that. It is a great article. Linking to that in our show notes at PackersFanPodcast.com/160. And sort of a PS to the article, Peter King later tweeted this out. He said, one of the leftovers that didn't fit in the FMIA article today, I hear Deshaun Kaiser went up to Aaron Rodgers after Green Bay's win over Chicago and thanked him for his first win as an NFL player.
That's true. kind of forgot about that.
Yeah, and although Deshaun Kaiser didn't have a good game, a lot of that is also the fault of the offensive line at the time. But yeah, Browns went 0-16. Now he knows what it's like to see crazed Packers fans and Packers players celebrating a victory, and that kind of stuff can be very contagious.
Can you imagine just being any other player coming into Green Bay, Wisconsin for your first real Packers game and having that be your first Packers game experience where it mattered? I mean, I can only imagine when Kaiser's like, holy crap, is it like this all the time around here?
Yeah, pretty much.
Last couple seasons, yeah. Heart Attack Pack is back. Oh my, yeah, great article. Check it out. Check out the videos. The whole 12-minute piece with Rodgers is amazing. Just having them stand out there in the middle of the bowl. I mean, goosebumps. Great job by Peter over there at NBC Sports. So definitely check that out. Now coming into Minnesota, keys of the game, super, super simple. We have a very, very good defense. So let's do the same thing. Hurry up the entire game. I want to see touchdowns every 3 minutes. I don't want to have to sit down in my metal bleacher once during the game because it's going to be like 80. It's going to be hot. It's going to burn my butt. So just keep me on my feet the whole time. That's it. Simple keys of the game. No, I think that because we still don't have Aaron Jones, I think we have to really figure out what can we do with the running game until Aaron Jones comes in, because I think where we were very effective in the hurry-up offense, there's now film on the hurry-up offense, which means they can game plan against it. So the biggest key to the game is that we have to get the run game involved next week in order to keep Minnesota guessing. And then obviously we have to figure out how good are our quarterbacks, because the last time we faced off against Kirk Cousins when he was at Washington, he was able to torch us over the top, all the way around, up the middle, left and right. So he knows the Packers scheme, but we have Mike Pettin now, and we have some cornerbacks that can play. So I think the big thing there is to just make sure that the pass rush is getting to Cousins as often as possible, so that way he can't pick apart our secondary. And then finally, I think the big thing for this coming week is just to figure out, what does Dalvin Cook actually bring to the table, and is he going to be able to run all over us? Because I'm looking to see the defensive front seven improve in the run game over last week, because these are the two teams we will have to face again. So hopefully they learned a little bit from Jordan Howard. They can shut Cook down, and if they shut Cook down, make him one-dimensional, I think we'll be A-okay.
And I better not hear anybody chanting about Skull in the Lambeau Field this week. That's the dumbest thing ever. That in the Vikings.
You say skull, I say I see your skull.
And I say lol, 0 NFL titles. Well, now that we can really say we're ready for some football, the official Packers dope sheet for week 2, Vikings at Packers, is carrying that tradition on. Again, linked at PackersFanPodcast.com/160. The 1-0 Green Bay Packers stay at home to take on the 1-0 Minnesota Vikings, marking the first time since 2012 that the Packers get to play 2 home games to open the season.
Love it.
That cannot be understated. It marks just the 3rd time since the NFC North was formed in 2002 that Green Bay has played divisional opponents in both of its first 2 games. It's good to get those out of the way, especially victories.
Not unless you're playing on my schedule idea. I would much rather be playing AFC games these first 2 games of the season, personally.
That's true. Your 19-game master plan is masterful. Including playoffs, Green Bay has a 9-3-1 mark against the Vikings at Lambeau Field under head coach Mike McCarthy. Not too shabby. Green Bay has won 4 of the last 5 home September contests against the Vikings. And the Packers all-time hold a 60-53-2 edge over the Vikings. So we're well in the lead on that one. And the Packers look to win their first 2 home games of the season for the 6th straight year. Nothing notable really jumped out from the dope sheet this week. So please, Green Bay, just beat the purple ones.
For the record, I was very happy that we won game 2 last year. It wasn't overtime against the Cincinnati Bengals, who had not scored a touchdown up to that point. So I'm telling you now, please do not make me sit through an overtime game. I have a long drive back to Chicago, fighting the Milwaukee traffic, because it is a Milwaukee gold ticket package game. So let's just put this one away early. Let's just do it. Get up to 21-0 by the end of the half, and then just, methodically run that clock out. Would be fantastic.
So basically 7 times 3 times 2.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. Sounds like a go Pack go to me. How do we figure out who won last week's crazy game predictions?
Well, the total score was 47. I said 49. You said 37, so I guess I'm closer.
Okay, then.
In total score.
I'm glad you've got the math figured. Go for it. How do you see things shaking out this week at Lambeau?
Well, sadly, because it's going to happen again, because the Heart Attack Pack is the Heart Attack Pack. They're going to be behind 23-24 going into the 4th quarter, but they're going to have just enough time to make a miracle happen again and win. Packers 30, Vikings 24.
Yay,
touchdown,
for the win.
Baby. Touchdown.
That's a lot of touchdowns. I love it. I also see the Vikings, I would say, only getting 24. I'd prefer a shutout, but the Packers will win an even closer game, 27-24. Maybe even a late Mason Crosby field goal for the money and the victory.
No, see, he's gonna do the field goal, but that only would get him ahead. So they're gonna fake it and they're gonna score the touchdown, so I can win the score prediction.
Hey, if we win the game, you can win all the predictions you want, Troy. Go Pack, go!
76 and sunny. Man, it's going to be warm. I'm trying to decide if I wear my jersey or not. Because, man, I sweat in my jersey.
I hear you.
But, yeah, it'll be a nice day for football in September up there at Lambeau Field.
I need to get some sort of pocket sewn into my jersey for my iPhone.
And I'm crossing my fingers because my 100th season hat should be here by Friday, so I can wear it to the game to keep the sun off my head on Sunday.
We'll be looking for you in the stands and on TV, Troy.
And as always, section 121, row 45. If you're at the game on Sunday, come find me. Get a picture, and we'll put it up in the PackersCommunity.com Facebook group. PackersCommunity.com. Check it out. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait for Sunday.
Go Pack, go. It's a high noon game, right?
It is a high noon game. And with that, we will say shootout later, because this show is not affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers. However, if we can win that shootout, it might be possible. So just tell them to email us at media@PackersFanPodcast.com. We are here and ready and waiting to make that an awesome experience for everybody.
And be sure to follow us on Twitter at PackersFanPod. Stay tuned for the Monday Twitter polls. Of course, they're also in the Packers Fan Podcast community. And while you're there on Twitter, go ahead and follow me at Wayne Henderson as well.
And I am at Troy Heinritz on Twitter. Look for conversations from the game on Sunday. Join the Packers Fan Podcast community at PackersFanPodcast.com/community or PackersCommunity.com. And don't forget, support the show. Support the show. PackersFanPodcast.com/support. Get your t-shirts. Just help us get to that $500 a month goal. If you find value in the podcast, then we hope that you will just throw us a buck or two. That's it. Buy us a beer. I'm going to the game on Sunday. I need $7.
Oh, wow. Also, we do want to hear your thoughts like we heard from listeners earlier. After our victory over the Vikings, you got to go to PackersFanPodcast.com/feedback for all the ways that you can be part of the next episode of the show. We want to thank you for listening to this episode of the Packers Fan Podcast, and we want to thank you in advance for listening to next week's episode of your Packers Fan Podcast.
Be sure to subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts so you don't miss an episode. Google Podcasts, if you don't have it, download it on your Android phone before the game starts so you can listen on your drive up from Milwaukee to the game. And you can also get it on Spotify. So if you are a Spotify user, definitely check us out there. We are going to make sure to get those Go Pack Goes recorded from Bryant and the Texas-only Green Bay Packers fanatics. So until then, I'll go ahead and take us out one more time. It's Vikings week, baby! Cheer it on. Get it up. Go Pack, go!